September 25th, 1978. A clear blue morning over San Diego. Pacific Southwest Airlines Flight 182 is descending. The runway is in sight. Then suddenly, the crew reports traffic ahead, a small airplane. Less than 1 minute later, the sky explodes. 2 aircraft collide over a quiet neighborhood. In seconds, 144 people are dead. This is the story of how a routine visual approach became the deadliest aviation disaster in California history. PSA Flight 182 was a Boeing 727 operating a short morning hop from Sacramento to San Diego with a stop in Los Angeles. On board, 135 passengers, 7 crew members, including a repositioning company pilot in the jump seat. The captain had over 14,000 flight hours. The first officer had 10,000. The flight engineer had more than 10,800. This was not an inexperienced crew. After departing Los Angeles at 8:34 a.m., the flight climbed briefly before beginning descent into San Diego. The weather was ideal. Clear skies, 10 miles visibility, light winds. Nothing about this approach suggested danger. Approach control cleared PSA 182 for a visual approach to runway 27. This changed everything. Under visual approach rules, once traffic is reported and cited, separation responsibility shifts partly from air traffic control to the pilots. ATC called traffic at 12 o'clock, 3 miles, 1,700 feet, a Cessna 172, a small training aircraft returning to Montgomery Field. The PSA captain responded, traffic in sight. ATC instructed, maintain visual separation. That phrase meant, you see him, you avoid him. But seeing traffic and keeping it in sight are two very different things. The Cessna 172 was flying under visual flight rules. Inside were 2 people, a student pilot and an instructor, the only one able to see outside. They were climbing northeast, below 3,500 feet. They never saw the Boeing 727 behind them. Back in the PSA cockpit, something subtle happened. The crew discussed the Cessna's position. At one point, the first officer asked, "Is that the one we're looking at?" Moments later, "I don't see him now." The captain told the tower he's passing off to our right, but that wasn't confirmed, it was an assumption. And they did not tell ATC they had lost visual contact. The 727 was faster, much faster. As the jet continued downwind, the distance between the 2 aircraft shrank rapidly. Inside approach control, a radar conflict alert activated. The system predicted the flight paths would merge. An alarm sounded, but the controller believed PSA still had the Cessna in sight, so no urgent call was made. Meanwhile, the PSA crew extended flaps, then landing gear. They believed the Cessna was behind them. It wasn't. At approximately 2,600 feet over North Park, the 727 overtook the Cessna. The jet passed slightly above, then its right wing struck the smaller aircraft. The Cessna was torn apart instantly. The 727's right wing suffered catastrophic damage. A large section ripped open, fuel spilling out. The loss of lift and structural integrity forced the jet into a steep right roll more than 50 degrees. The crew fought for control, but the aircraft was no longer flyable. 20 seconds after the midair collision, PSA Flight 182 crashed into a residential neighborhood. All 135 passengers and 7 crew members were killed. Both occupants of the Cessna died. The NTSB investigation focused on 3 critical elements. 1. The PSA crew's loss of visual contact and failure to report it. 2. The air traffic control system. 3. Radar conflict alert handling. The official probable cause was the failure of the PSA flight crew to comply with maintaining visual separation from the Cessna, and their failure to advise ATC when they no longer had it in sight. Contributing factors included ATC procedures that allowed visual separation in congested airspace. the frequency change that separated the two aircraft from hearing each other, and the conflict alert system being treated as unreliable due to frequent nuisance alarms. One NTSB board member even filed a formal dissent, arguing the controllers bore greater responsibility. PSA 182 changed American aviation. The FAA created the Terminal Radar Service Area around San Diego, requiring radar contact for VFR aircraft in busy airspace. More importantly, this accident became one of the catalysts for the development of collision avoidance system. Today, it gives pilots independent collision warnings even if controllers miss a conflict. It is standard worldwide. It exists in part because of PSA 182. There was no bad weather, no mechanical failure, no emergency, just assumptions. A visual approach, a lost sighting, and ignored alert, and a few seconds where nobody realized the truth. PSA 182 remains a permanent reminder. In aviation, seeing is not enough. You must be certain.
Learn more about aviation safety. Subscribe for more investigation videos.